guys can do. Maybe a little bit slow,
Yeah.
but I can do that. I can do wall climbing as well. Maybe slow, but hey.
Parvinder, what do you think we need to do to, just because children are curious and they'll just come out and ask you what's going on, why are you in a wheelchair, what happened?
Yeah.
But as adults, we don't have that sensitivity. We either ask a question that's completely offensive or pretend or don't ask one at all.
It goes back to education and raising awareness. I mean, you touched on it earlier, and it's like we have families who, where you've got siblings who are very supportive of their sibling who's got a disability, and they are young carers, and because we go into the homes and we do actually bring children out into the centre, and we will just walk along the high street when we use our centre as a base. We'll actually take children out there in the community. We'll contact, bowling alleys. We'll contact the cinemas.
And what's
we'll
the
make
purpose of that? Just to make sure that the child
not so much that the child's seen. We're not doing things tokenistically.
No, is it just to the child be integrated into the society?
Yes, that's right. And families, I think, feel comfortable. As we said, we have a team of about 20 to 25 staff, and we have the children working with children, working with adults. We have a parents and carers support group. We have mums that come in and talk to one another, share experiences, talk about the different disabilities.
Can become extremely isolated, because actually if you're caring for somebody on a full-time basis, it's actually quite a lot of kind of...
Of course it is. I mean, we run an after-school club for children, and what we're hoping to is, because we've actually outgrown our building, so we want to relocate. So when we do actually have our own building, and hopefully we'll go into partnership with other organisations and other bodies, because I think that working together we will achieve more. And I think that you can't actually say, right, we're here, we're actually supporting this particular community, and if you work with people and if you place yourself strategically and at the grassroots level, you'll be surprised at the amount of work that you can do yourselves and you can get other people to do for you. I mean, we've been around we're a voluntary organisation, so we're a charity, and but the work that we do is not voluntary work. We try and we do maintain professionalism. We make sure all our staff are trained up, and it goes back to a little bit. People see Asian organisation, Asian type of service. No way.
No.
Don't cut corners. No. We're actually commissioned, by the Care Quality Commission. It's a regulatory body. We're actually registered with Ofsted. The amount of checks you have to go through, the inspections, the health and safety, believe you me, we do spot checks, observations. And I think that families are comfortable with, the services that you're offering. They're actually trusting their children with you, their young people. We do see them as children and young people first. So when our staff are actually, we train our staff in principles of care first, and talking about privacy and dignity, and all the practical training, manual handling of people, fire safety, risk assessment. The list is endless. Then we start talking about behaviour management, and it's just touching about the hidden disability. Some of our children and young people to look at, they would look like you or I.
Right.
However, they may have severe challenging behaviour, so at any time they could.
We'll be touching on that about disabilities that aren't seen in just a minute. You're watching Broken Silence. We'll be back after this short break. Hi, welcome back to Broken Silence. I'm Sanyya Gardez. Today we're talking about how South Asians cope with disability. Joining me on the panel is Jignesh Vadia and Mandy Sangera from Voice UK. Thank you both for joining us on our panel. Mandy, we'll start with you. Can you just tell us what your organization does?
Okay. Voice UK is a charity based in Derby. We support vulnerable adults with learning disabilities, mental health, or Asperger's, or people that suffer crime and abuse.
Is it just primarily South Asians that you're dealing with, or is it open to everybody?
Everybody all over the country. One of the things that I do as a trustee, I've been doing a lot of work with the Foreign Office and the Home Office regarding forced marriages of vulnerable adults.
Do you find that people, when you say vulnerable adults, what do you mean?
Anybody over the age of 18.
But what makes them vulnerable?
Who has been vulnerable. I mean, sometimes somebody who might need care needs and who actually is dependent on somebody else. So that somebody that is vulnerable.
So do you find that in your experience that vulnerable adults, are they more prone to being forced into a marriage?
Actually, there are younger people as well that actually will be children from the age of 14 to 21 will be forced into a marriage.
What does a disability have to do with being forced into marriage? Do you find that parents are just trying to shift the responsibility to a partner?
There's a couple of elements about why a person would be forced into a marriage. But one thing I want to say first, that there's a very, very clear difference between arranged marriages and forced marriages. Arranged marriages are very long-standing traditions within our community. Forced marriages are when actually one's been forced, whether you're a child or a person with a learning disability or mental health. A lot of people kind of get forced into a marriage for the concept of izzat, which is honour.
Yeah.
One of the other reasons is sometimes for dowry, for finance reasons, or for immigration into the country. A vulnerable adult is very easy to use and to manipulate to do that.
Have you come across, do
I
you
have
then
come
work
across,
directly
I
with
have come
adults?
across cases like that. But one of the biggest problems within the Asian community is that parents want a carer for their child.
See, now that's what I brought up with Parpinder here, because I have come across that. Jignesh, you can jump at any point, that people, families that have a disabled son or daughter will then, like I mentioned earlier, will then go back home and find somebody, in a sense,
there's
a
a reason
carer.
why they may do that. When there's a big kind of transition age from 16 to 18, because they kind of 16 they cut out of children's services. When they're 18 they come into adult services.
Right, okay.
So there's a 2-year period that's actually quite a serious kind of age group, which is a transition service. I do think the local authority are getting better at working with that group. But the thing is, sometimes if people don't meet the council's eligibility criteria, if you don't have a significant learning disability or a mental health problem, you won't get a service because you're not disabled enough. And
Very interesting, okay.
Yeah. So then families will kind of feel a bit desperate and sort of think, well, actually, I want my son and daughter to go to India or Pakistan to get married. Or sometimes they do it because they actually think it's a bit normal, it's the normal thing to do. Let's have a wife for our son and daughter and they'll have children. So there's
Jignesh, has that issue ever come up with you and your family? I mean, has it?
Yeah. I mean, before I met my partner, they did ask me if I want to get married, arranged marriage, not forced marriage, arranged marriage, from girl from India or But I said no, because I want to meet somebody who knows me first, my disability, if you like, then maybe go to next level. But yes, the question has come through in my family. But my mom and dad is up to me. If I'm happy, that's fine.
So are your parents okay with you, your partner? She's not Asian, right?
Yeah.
Are they quite happy with that?
Oh God, yes.
So wedding
She's got more
bells?
stuff than me.
Wedding bells in the works?
Okay, carry on.
Next
question.
Can I just come in on that?
Yep, sure.
I think when I mentioned earlier about families going back home to get married, what I was talking about initially was the parents of the children with disabilities. When we first set up, we were supporting families because there were language barriers. And why I said that people go back abroad is, you have got second and third generation who go back home and get married to girls or boys from India and come here and then have a child with a disability. So when we're supporting families,
okay.
that was the angle that I came in.
The angle that you were taking,
but
sure.
equally, yes, on parents get older. Yes, so when you have children, of course, we care for our children, but when you've got a child or an adult with disability, at the back of their mind, it's always going to be, who's going to care for my child? Will they go into care, as they're an adult? So parents, give up the families that we work with,
given
actually,
up their own life.
They've given up
and
a lot
actually, because what it is, even if they've got siblings and you've got brothers and sisters who actually probably, love you and everything else, but they actually have their own life. They've probably got their own children.
Yeah, but Jignesh, you made it quite clear that you don't need to be taken care of.
He doesn't want to be.
No, I don't need, my mom still every single day rings me.
Yeah.
Just make sure I'm okay. Every single day. But
you said you live on your own. Was that hard on your parents? Were they scared of having you live on your own?
They were the people that kind of encouraged me to apply for the housing waiting list and stuff like that. But I wanted to, and I was the first person to move out. And I'm the youngest in the family.
Right.
Which is great.
Do you receive care? Do you receive help at home?
No, I don't. Like I said,
so it's not supported living. It's not supported living.
No, I don't need a support.
Yeah.
People just assume. People, when you're just disabled, you need a carer or something. I don't. I can do everything by myself.
I think
there are other people who have got